Hello, wise owls. It is the evening of Wednesday, October 30th, 2019, and this recording is going to take a look at the Scorpio cycle that is underway. I have certainly missed being on the Oracle Report, and I am very glad to be back. The Heirs Point people as a whole generally took it on the chin last month during the Libra cycle, and I was no exception to that. Just before the new moon in Libra, all of the planets, every single one of them, even the outer planets, activated my chart, and every planet was activating my chart. And that's the first time I have ever seen this. And then the true manifestation of my initiation with the Mahavidyas occurred. The part where everything compressed in on my mind and was shattering my mind. That was just a foreshadowing of what happened last month, and it was very difficult to handle, as you might imagine. I had several family issues and then some IT issues. So that was that. I'm sharing just because you all have been on the journey with me for so long, most of you. And I love that it is still a core group of people with new people coming in all the time. And I really like that we are a small group. I like it that way. I like it cozy. There was never any intention to make this channel grow. I organically trust that people who are meant to be here are here. So much of the Scorpio cycle I lived last month during the Libra cycle, and let's take a look and see what's in store for Scorpio. Oh, before I forget, the readings page is back up at oraclereport.com for anyone who is interested in that. If you'd like for me to do a reading for you, just go to oraclereport.com, click on the readings page. All right. The Scorpio new moon came in on Sunday night, October 27th at 11:36 p.m. Eastern Time. 4 degrees Scorpio, 24 minutes, which is 5 Scorpio in the Sabian symbols. And a big thing happened at that time of the new moon. Several things happened, but one really big thing happened. The new moon was opposite Uranus, and it's a very tight opposition. It's only 12 arc minutes off of the exact opposition, which is about as tight as you can come. And what that means, because Uranus is in such effect this month, is that we can expect the unexpected. We can only predict Uranus, but so far. And so astrology, even, which that Uranus rules astrology, is only so helpful when there's such a strong Uranus transit happening with the new moon. Uranus brings changes, it brings shocks and surprises, and that's not bad. It may seem bad at the time, but we often see later that there was a silver lining in anything that we thought was unfortunate or negative. Uranus always puts us where we need to be. So trust is a major factor this month, because we have to remember that Uranus is putting things the way they need to be rectified, and for us to have the best experience possible, the potential for that. So it's different. Things are going to be different, and it's not going to be business as usual. Uranus does rule electricity, and no surprise that we're seeing all of that activity in California with fires and plasma being used, Uranus ruling those things. Incidentally, Rudolf Steiner spoke in his work on anthroposophy about the three forces, and if you know what I'm talking about there, plasma is the third force. If you don't know what I'm talking about there, that's a long story, so just skip past that. Anyway, so this month with Uranus opposite the new moon, we will need to make adjustments as needed and roll with it, because we're not in control. Uranus is in control of this show, and that's a good thing, because Uranus does it way better than we can. It puts things where we need to be, puts us and people and places and everything the way it needs to be. It sets it up, or makes it happen. All right, so the other thing is Uranus is at the Chiron point. It's not just at any of the degrees, it's at the Chiron point. It's conjunct the Chiron point. And Chiron energy, which is what the Chiron point is, Chiron point is the degree where Chiron was discovered, where the degree where Chiron was located when it was discovered. And Chiron is the archetypal energy of mastery, of healing, wounding, healing, and teaching. It heals the systems of the body. And this is an important theme this month because it's time to do the right thing by your body if you've been slacking on that. It's redoing the body, mind, and spirit. And so we want to recommit to our health this month in advance of the holidays. And may I suggest, a wise owl, a longtime wise owl, has started a new YouTube channel, Crystalline Nutrients. This is leading edge information as you would expect from a longtime wise owl. I will link that below. You're definitely going to want to check that out and follow that because that's some good stuff. Definitely good stuff. The other thing with Uranus, where it is located, we have a theme of relationships breaking up and deep cuts, deep wounding, and deep pain being brought up. At the same time, deep healing occurs from issues with that. So if you are experiencing difficulties in your relationship, understand that this is a major theme. It started last month with Libra, and Uranus at the Chiron point is trying to help that. All right, let's go into the Sabian symbols and look more specifically. So the Sabian symbol for the new moon, 5 Scorpio, is a massive rocky shore resists the pounding of the sea. Intensive, yes? This month we want to be the sea. We, the people, are the sea. The rocky shore is the status quo, is the establishment, is the New World Order, is the cabal, is the archonic control systems. So they are the massive rocky shore, and we are the waves that are pounding of the sea. So this might be helpful as you go through the month. Instead of being locked in and rigid into your ideas or plans, because Uranus may have something else in store, and remember, Uranus knows better. We want to be like water, be like the sea, and go with the flow of those currents. The waves of we the people are rising. The underdog is favored. We're having a shift towards the grassroots. And the New World Order is on shaky ground, as indicated by the new moon in Aries back in April, which was the start of this astrological year. And the new moon in Aries tells us the theme that will be the major emphasis for the year. And we remember that the new moon in Aries, the theme for this astrological year, is fairies dancing in the setting sun, which is sunset on the New World Order and the archontic control systems. So while you may feel at times like you're the rocky shore being pounded, we want to, as much as possible, move into that greater wave of change that is happening and move into that instead of in a rigid structure and ideas and paradigms. So it's very much about being open-minded in order to save yourself a lot of grief this month. It may be rather emotional. Scorpio is a water sign. Water rules the emotions. And we have a Sabian symbol for the new moon that involves water, the sea, no less, the inundation. So it may be rather emotional. I would caution, and this isn't really for this month, although it is particularly for this month. It's something I've been saying to people for a few months now. Would caution you around alcohol and overindulging, especially during a Scorpio cycle. Scorpio and Pluto, its ruling planet, rule alcohol and alcoholism. And this is going to present problems that are already problems. It will make problems worse. It will make them better. Because what it does is activate the parasites in your body, which means that the archons have a better non-local control or frequency in which to influence you. So if that's an issue for you, now's the time to deal with that issue, because you're most likely having a lot of archonic interference that you don't realize isn't you. And the only way to get to you is to intervene and eliminate that source and see if things get better for you. Now, I mentioned the big news that Uranus is opposite the new moon. And Uranus, at the time of the new moon, was conjunct the Earth, anytime we have a new moon, the Earth is opposite, because the Earth is always opposite the Sun in heliocentric astrology. So the Earth and Uranus were conjunct at 5 Taurus, which is the Sabian symbol of a widow at an open grave, which is a very difficult energetic, because it's like staring at a loss or staring at the past or a hole in your life. The question is, was it really a loss? Because Uranus is trying to have us look at things differently, look at things a different way, whereas things that seemed negative or unfortunate at the time turn out to not be so when we look at a longer term. So if you're experiencing a loss, or if you've had a loss, and other than, a death in the family, something like that, but a personal loss with the world, or a relationship, or a job, it can be any part of life. Was it a loss? Can you look at it and analyze accurately the truth of that? So if there's a hole in your life, if you are the widow at an open grave, do something different to fill the hole in. Make a change. If your life has imploded, take full assessment. Is it time for radical changes? Is it time to totally revamp or reevaluate your plan or what you want? Maybe you received a lot of information over the Libra cycle that's telling you that you have to make a definite course change, that things aren't working the way they are. Remember, the massive rocky shore resists the pounding of the sea is about changing the status quo, or the establishment. And so as much as changes can be very hard for us, because usually we implement change after a traumatic experience, that's the most common way that we make changes. Uranus enforces changes. It hoists them upon us, and we are left to deal with the aftermath of that. So it is time for an assessment and to move forward. All right, Mercury, which is going direct on Halloween on October 31st, and it will be retrograde until November 20th. Mercury at the new moon is located at a military band, marches noisily through the city streets. Remember, we don't look at the Sabian symbols for the day of the new moon just for that day. This is the imprint of the planets, or the energetics at the time of the new moon, is what sets the themes for the month. The imprints, or the frequencies, or the missions that will try to be accomplished. And so with the military band marches noisily through the streets, we have potentially a military op that gets attention. I guess that would be what happened in Syria with Baghdadi, the big news. Now, at the time of the new moon, Mercury was in opposition with Venus. Nope, wasn't opposition, excuse me. It was conjunction with Venus. and they were just a couple of degrees off. Venus was at an X-ray photograph, and so this is about seeing the truth of things, seeing the truth of relationships, seeing what wasn't seen before, and seeing through what's not in alignment. Okay, so with Mercury at a military band marches northerly through city streets, and Venus conjunct at an X-ray photograph, those two together for the month, we will see through the noise of anything military or political. It's going to be much easier to discern what what is all going on and what the motivations or agenda may be. Now, Mars at the time of the new moon was making exact opposition with that all important new moon in Aries that starts off the astrological year. So Mars was at 16 Libra. We started the year off at 16 Aries, the opposite of Libra. 16 Libra, if you remember, is after a storm, a boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. Now, Mars is our energy. It's about our energy level and what we do with our energy. This is going to give us this month the energy to rebuild, the energy for second renaissance, the energy for new beginnings. And so it's reactivating, number one, that energetic from April with the new moon in Aries of fairies dancing in the setting sun. It's going to erode even more so against the New World Order and the Cabal. The boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. It's like things are being deconstructed, and now they are need for reconstruction. We are picking up the pieces because we aren't waiting until the end of that 5-year time period of 2015 to 2020 that the Mahavidyas indicated to us back then. We aren't waiting for that to begin building the second renaissance. We implement that now, and we are beginning, and we have been building that so that it is ready and in place to grow when this time period is over. So that's one thing Mars was doing at the new moon in Scorpio. The other thing it was doing was it was in square, an exact square with Saturn. And Saturn is an exact square with the new moon in Aries from April. So Saturn is discharging school grounds filled with boys and girls in gym suits. This is new opportunities within relationships, and Mars in square to Saturn, changing our rigid structures and our rigid ideas. That you can see I'm talking about this idea of changing things. The everything, maybe it could be the way you thought about everything. You may have a whole new lens of perception now, or feeling the need for that, because a new moon opposite Uranus, it's going to bring changes. Okay, we know this. We know that a lot will happen over this cycle to rectify things and to put them on their proper track. I know, I just keep going over and over and again. No one should forget that Uranus brings changes after as much as I drill that around. All right. Also, at the time of the new moon, the black moon and Neptune are still in conjunction. The black moon is moving off of that conjunction. We'll only have it for a couple more weeks. By the full moon, it'll be off of Neptune. The black moon at the new moon was at 20 Pisces, a table set for an evening meal. That's the energetic of putting things in their proper place, about making preparations. And we may have some sort of unexpected addition, as if somebody brought another dish to the table. Something unexpected with the black moon, and unforeseen with Neptune. Neptune is at an Easter promenade. This is about spiritual infusion. And it's coming from the divine masculine, the Christ consciousness, or in Gnostic terms, Thelete, the divine will. I fully believe that the combination of these two symbols reiterates that we are ready and waiting, and we are prepared for light. We are prepared for what might be called the second coming, because that's the second coming of light, of the Christ consciousness, of the divine masculine to meet up with each one of us. Or to give us, I should say, the opportunity to meet up. Because not everybody's going to take that opportunity, because they're not going to know what it is. And they'll react to it in the exact opposite way. This is subject for a longer discussion. Table set for an evening meal, the black moon, Neptune and an Easter promenade. You prepared for a spiritual infusion. That's what that means. Jupiter is doing a nice thing also. So many nice things to talk about with this cycle. Jupiter is at 23 Sagittarius, so it went direct, and it's now coming up to make conjunction with the galactic center, which is at 27 Sagittarius. So Jupiter is at 23 Sag, immigrants entering a new country. I think we're going to see more news on immigration and border security. That's kind of took a back seat to some other things that have been in the headlines. Jupiter will make exact conjunction with the galactic center on November 15th and 16th. So that is basically this divine infusion I'm talking about. We should see evidence of that within our lives and within the world at that time. And Jupiter is going to enter Capricorn on December 2nd. So we want to keep that in mind, because that will mean beginning December 2nd, Venus, the South Node, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto will all be in Capricorn. Which means that everything that's been happening between Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn will now be amplified once Jupiter gets to Capricorn. And we know that everything is driving towards the great Saturn-Pluto conjunction of January 2020. Jupiter will get to Capricorn on December 2nd and begin to add its influence, that massive sphere of influence, or that massive dimension of influence, we might even say, which will speed up the Saturn-Pluto themes that I went into in great depth in its own recording that you can find on my channel. The Maker of Eras, I believe. I will link it below. We have Chiron at 3 Aries, a cameo profile of a man in the outline of his country. This is about allegiances, and I believe we'll see, because Chiron is there, and Chiron cuts things. It surgically removes things. I think we're going to see some allegiances torn apart, probably elements of the swamp turn on each other, elements on both sides turning on their side, or revealing which side they were really on. And I think, Pluto, yeah, Pluto. Pluto is still at 21 Capricorn, a relay race. It is still squaring the Eris point, bringing in the energetics for transformation and rebirth. Transforming the existing, rebirthing the new. It's what Pluto and Uranus do. I have Uranus on the brain. Pluto and Eris do. So a relay race is the Sabian symbol. And that's the energetic it's a race. And what are we seeing? The race to impeach Trump, or remove or expose the swamp, or expose whatever. Remember, we are expecting the unexpected. It's very hard to do. We like to know more specifically, have a better grip on what's happening. But Uranus has other ideas, and if we can't see changes, or we can't see the truth of things, Uranus will make that happen. a little bit about Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is really getting so mainstream now. And this is so much with the young people. So many young people are learning about astrology nowadays. Um, so Mercury will go retrograde on Wednesday, October 31st at 11:41 a.m. Eastern Time at 28 degrees of Scorpio, which is the king of the fairies approaching his domain. The year of fairies dancing in the setting sun. I wonder if the fairies have been waiting for this Mercury retrograde since the new year began. Because Mercury retrogrades redo things. Anytime a planet goes retrograde, it is reworking things. Specifically with Mercury, it's our communications, information exchange, travel, places around the world. Mercury is going to go direct on November 20th at 2:11 p.m. Eastern Time at 12 Scorpio. So it's going to go from 28 Scorpio and it'll retrograde backward all the way to 12 Scorpio, which is an official embassy ball. So I think that this is indicative of the geopolitical theater being active and changeable while Mercury is retrograde. I suspect we will see more about China and Russia. The political landscape changes. Or what do you need a redo with? Excuse me. What do you need a redo with? Put it out there. Let Mercury work on it. And a final note about Uranus at the Chiron point and second Renaissance. The Chiron point and Chiron rule the inner child, early childhood issues, and it wants us to pick up where we left off if we are blocked somewhere from childhood. If there is a hole in your life, as I said, the widow standing in an open grave, fill it in with an expression of you artfully. What is your art? It's much more expansive definition than talents and skills in the fine arts. Maybe your art is giving. Maybe you make a really good trifle. Maybe you want to make it and share it with people. Or maybe you have a gifted voice. Maybe you want to put yourself on YouTube. Maybe you're good at, I don't know, organizing things. Maybe you can redo someone's closet. Or yours if you have neglected that. My point with this is take an accurate assessment of yourself and don't just think about building second renaissance just from your hobbies. Okay, it comes from all different things and all different gifts that we have. So be you and be you with reverence, accepting who you are and sharing it with the world. Alrighty. I will see you all next time, and I hope you have a lovely Scorpio cycle.